Hey everyone, welcome to Be the Change. My name is Lily Mott, and today I'm going to be talking about how change comes when you realize that if they can, then you can. My guest this week is Kylie Montigney, and she is pretty much a podcasting superstar. She is the host of Talk of Fame podcast and the co-host of Real Talk podcast. She is also the founder of the nonprofit Empower Girls, which is dedicated to ending gender bias and promoting inclusion in the media. I really enjoyed this conversation with Kylie, and I'm excited to share her work with you. So, without further ado, let's get started with this episode featuring Kylie Montigney.
So I am basically the host of Talk of Fame podcast and co-host of Real Talk podcast. I started the Talk of Fame podcast back in late 2021, and I started that because like when I was young, I basically never had any inspirations. I never saw myself on screen or just never saw myself in general because I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania. So I never found anyone that looked like me or just didn't find myself in general. I just never saw myself on screen and just in the media. And so I was like, I'm really tired of kind of feeling that way. And like, I really want to see myself. And like, I was like, I wonder if people are feeling this as well. And so I was like, I should really kind of start a podcast as well. So I started my podcast, Talk Fame, back in 2020 to like talk with people in the industry and athletes and all that stuff to inspire young girls and women that can be anything in the world and no one can stop them. And I recently, a couple of weeks ago, founded a nonprofit organization called Empower Girls. And our mission and all that stuff is that we will end gender bias and inclusion in the media and have like one-on-one presentations, let me think, memberships, Q&As, and all so much things like research and all that stuff, and like all a bunch of things. I really can't think off the top of my head. I have to suck it. And our model is if they can, and you can as well. So that's basically about me and everything, like what I do.
Yeah, that is perfect, and that's a great start. I'd love to go a little deeper and have you tell me some about your podcast. Can you tell me about the process to get started with Real Talk and what you've been working on with that project? I'm always on the hunt for more podcasts to listen to, so tell me what you're working on with yours.
Yeah, so I started the podcast, like I said, late in the pandemic. And like the mission was for my podcast. Like I grew up with two journalists in my family that worked on a local news station down here in Pennsylvania. So I had like two kind of people that I looked up to that were journalists, but I never anticipated on being a journalist. Like I just knew I wanted to be in the entertainment industry, but I didn't know what exactly I wanted to be. So I was like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, this is something I want to kind of pursue, but I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. Then during the pandemic, I had like nothing to do exactly. Everyone was stuck at home. Everyone didn't know what to do because obviously we're stuck at home. And so everyone was kind of bored out of their minds and really couldn't do anything. Obviously, every state and country is very different. But for us in the US, it's everyone was stuck at home and it really took us hard. And for me personally, I was stuck watching television, which I didn't want to do on my free time since I was always doing that. And so I was saying to myself, like, why not like start a podcast and just do something in my life instead of like sitting down and watching television 24/7 of my day. So I started planning, and I'm the person that's like quits everything within the next couple in a week. When I try something, I usually quit it in like a week. So I was like, this is probably gonna be one of those things where I quit in a week or something. Like it's probably not gonna last long. But I was like, why not just try it? So I started writing down ideas and all these things, and it all became going from there basically. Like I started to figure out the podcast name, logos, and try and send messages out to people. And I didn't really know what I was getting myself into exactly. I was like, getting all done. And when I first saw, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I basically didn't really think about this at all. Like, what I should have really kind of planned a little better than I did. And so I basically started back in, what was it, April 2021. And yeah, we can just go from there. I released over 80 something episodes of the podcast, I think 86 to be exact. And I basically interview basically everyone in the industry and athletes to inspire young girls and women, and especially younger generations. I think it could be anything in the world, no one can stop them, and to really bring awareness for young girls and women to see themselves with people that are like them and everything like that.
Over 80 episodes is such a great accomplishment, so congratulations on that. And it's so exciting that you were able to create so many episodes and do all of this work to empower women's voices. I love the mission, and I think that your story is inspirational for anyone who may be thinking about a project or, thinking about starting something and may just need that push to get going. So thank you for sharing your whole story. I would love to know more about Empower Girls as well. Can you tell me some about that organization and what you're hoping to accomplish with it?
Yeah, so yeah, as you said before, like I started it very recently, and so my mission for Empower Girls to end gender bias and inclusion in the media, and to bring more awareness for young girls and women in the media, politics, sports, you name it, like all kind of sectors of society, everything about it. And so I basically cover everything, the news that's going on. Like I recently posted today that the Spain girls and men got equal pay recently. So that's very good for the Olympics and some other things are doing. So that's like very good news as well. And so I basically started that to bring more to my what I do instead of doing it with the podcast. Because I was like, I want to do something more besides doing the podcast. Because obviously it's just a podcast, it's just me talking to other people. But it's like I wanted to create something that's like me bringing awareness to a bunch of things that's a problem in this society today. And that's not probably bring people on the podcast because everyone has their own opinions and all these things. But I actually wanted to do something on my own and just try to do things that I personally want to do and what to bring for other people to get them know more about what's going on in today's society in the media. So we cover all of these things. Like I'm currently working on the membership that'll be out probably in a couple of weeks or so. So everyone can check that out on my social media if you see my social media and stuff. So the membership should be out soon. It will cover like research, one-on-one like video calls, presentations, and exclusive interviews, and like you name it. There's so many things that will come in the membership. We will have different kinds of memberships, so and anyone can like choose which membership they are kind of what they want to learn more about and everything. So yeah, so I started a couple of weeks ago, and our motto is if they can, you can. Because we believe that if you see someone do something that you're interested in, then you can do it as well. And so that's really my platform. And because I really believe that if people really see someone that you think that's pretty cool, I think I should do that, but I don't think I could because I'm a woman or have a disability or anything. But I really think that you should do it and just go for it, no matter what you look like or if you are a different gender.
That is a great mission, and I love the whole if they can, then you can, because I think it's completely true, and your work really has the opportunity to show young women what they can do in the future, and they may not know those opportunities could be possible, or they may think that they couldn't do them. So I think that's so exciting that you're able to educate people in that way. I love that work that you're doing. I would also love to know, through your podcast and the conversations you've had with people, what is some of the best advice you've heard? Are there any quotes or words of wisdom that have really stuck with you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So this person wasn't exactly on my podcast per se, but like like Gina Davis is someone that I look up to so much. And actually got to see her speak a couple of months ago, back in February of this year. And her mission for her institute, like her institute is Gina Davis Institute on Gender and Media. And she does all these research and everything to try to make change in the industry, kind of like what I'm doing as well. But she goes directly to people in the industry, like people that work in the studios and all these things to make change. Like people write down more women scripts and all that stuff. And their motto for their institute is, if she can see it, she can be it. And that is really something that really stuck out to me the most over the last kind of couple of months. And so that's really something that I really love and think about, like, why I need motivation, because like if you really can't see someone doing that either on screen or in person, then I believe you can really do that as well. And so obviously women is very much treated differently than men, and obviously women are always kind of hard to find their passions and what they do, because everything they do, they're always being discriminated because they're a woman, and the way they are, like, and their way they're kind of their backgrounds are and all that stuff. So like they always being discriminated for something besides they look and what they are. And so that's really something that kind of stuck out to me the most, because I believe if you really can't see it, you can be it, no matter if you have a disability or whatever you are.
I want to continue with this train of thought now, and I want to ask you to share some of your own advice as well. Lots of young people, especially those in high school and college, want to create change, and they may want to make a difference, but they may not know how to get started. Do you have any advice for those people who may be listening?
I'll say probably just to go for it. Like, even like if you kind of find it difficult to really go and put yourself out there and be a voice. It's obviously during this pandemic, and as we grow older, it's kind of very hard to raise our voice and be ourselves and everything. That's something that I struggled with growing up. Obviously, I had anxiety and stuff, so obviously I was always very quiet, and that I didn't have a voice. I was always self-confident, like I didn't have any confidence in anything in my life. And that's something I kind of wish I saw growing up, because I didn't have any confidence whatsoever. And so anything else, if someone asks me like for something about that, I would say like just really go for it. Don't listen to what people think. Like just go out of your comfort zone and just try to see if you like it, because obviously people might not like what you're doing, and obviously you might not like, as I say, you might not like being a singer-songwriter per se. I would say just go for it. If you really want to do something for yourself and raise your voice on a specific matter that's going on that you really like kind of feel passionate about, then I say just raise your voice on it, because nothing is going to get better if you don't raise your voice on it.
I am a big fan of the work Kylie is doing to try to show young women all of the opportunities that are available to them in the media in particular. I think her path to make change really lives up to her words of advice about just getting started and not looking back. I want to highlight the mission of Kylie's organization, which is to show young women if they can, then you can. I think this is such a valuable piece of advice to keep in mind. And for me, it encourages me to keep learning about all of the opportunities and exploring all of the spaces out there that I could be a part of. Kylie's podcast and her organization are encouraging everyone, but particularly young women, to push the boundaries of what they think they can do or what they think is possible. And I think we can all use a little bit more of that energy in our lives. So, as much as we can, let's try to keep Kylie's words in mind, because change comes when you realize that if they can, then you can. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and you can connect with Kylie on Instagram at official Kylie Montigney. You can also find the Talk of Fame podcast on Instagram at Talk of Fame Pod, and you can find Empower Girls on Instagram at empowergirlsorg_ to learn more about that organization. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at Be the Change Podcast. Tune in for my next episode, but until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys.